Good morning, everyone. I'm Dennis. This is Zach.
Howdy.
So today we're talking about stuff you can't get in America, but you can probably get it outside the United States. The first thing that comes to my mind now is the Kinder Egg. Remember those little chocolate things? Yeah, they fixed it somehow to where now the toy's on the outside of the egg, but like it's not the same. Like if you go up to Canada, you get the toy in the middle. But in America, it's like, oh no, you can't have that. That's too bad. However, now I hear you actually have a very hard to get bean.
Oh, well, here, you have firsthand experience, right?
Yeah, it's a very magical, very potent bean. This bean says, "I'm going to be in your mouth, and you're going to know about it."
Well, first we got to get to the story of what made this super hilarious is he wanted to try a hot sauce and was looking for something to dab the hot sauce on as kind of a medium to deliver the hot sauce to himself to sample it. And I didn't have any crackers on hand, but I did have these tonka beans. Now, how I acquired these tonka beans is a story for a little bit. But I moved the tonka bean jar, and Dennis took it as a signal to use that as the medium to deliver the hot sauce.
In my mind, he was basically saying, "Here, bro, try this. This will go great with hot sauce." And it just didn't.
Yeah. The great thing was I didn't even really see the initial bit. I just saw him reacting and saying that it was bitter. It was too funny, and I already knew because I'd done extensive research on this very particular bean. This bean is called the tonka bean, and I actually have the container. I'll grab it next time in a little bit, but. I knew that you weren't supposed to eat an entire bean because the reason that it's illegal actually is that for a 130-pound female, the LD50 is approximately 30 of these beans, which are actually a seed, apparently. They're just called a bean due to their relatively soft texture. So it has, is it the blood thinning coumarin?
Coumadin. And for those of you who don't know, LD50 is short for lethal dose to kill 50% of the populace that would take it of a 130-pound female. So just imagine you have a room full of 130-pound women, which is scary in its own right.
Yep.
It would kill 50 of them if they took this amount.
Yep.
Of course, there's a lot of other things that can factor into that, but it's a potent little bean.
Yeah. So it's hard to describe the flavor. It's somewhere between vanilla, cinnamon, and almost a hint of unsweetened cocoa. He has his own description.
All right, so I can say this much. I tasted the hot sauce. That was the first thing that hit me right away. And then as I bit into the bean, the peppery, greeny taste of the hot sauce was replaced with a strong, bitter, like nutty, but not. It was too much, and my tongue went numb. Like I've never experienced my tongue going numb before. The flavor was so intense. It was saying to your tongue, "No, you've had enough. You will not taste for another hour." And surely I did not. The next day, when I went to the bathroom, all I could smell was chai tea. Like the bathroom smelled like chai potpourri. Like I swear that was I'm pretty sure it left a trail going through my entire body of just tonka bean everywhere. Like if you open me up, I probably would smell like chai tea.
Like a tauntaun in Star Wars.
Yeah, like someone just guts me. Oh, is that chai tea in here? No, we just gutted this fool. That shouldn't smell like that. It does.
Ew. But I could not stop laughing. I'm even laughing now just at the memory of it because that was my initial reaction. I was like, "You ate a whole bean?" Oh man, And I feel kind of bad laughing about it, but Dennis was pacing around a little bit anxiously. Oh,
Not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna die for just a split second when he goes, "You ate a whole bean." Like that's the look of you're not supposed to eat the whole bean. Don't you know it will kill you?
oh no.
It's like a marijuana edible. Remember, like you ever had a marijuana edible where someone's like, "Oh, just eat a bite," and they come back and like you ate the whole entire brownie. You're like, "You're gonna go on a trip, dude. Pack your bags."
You need to go home now.
Exactly. Like I didn't know if the Tonka bean was going to cause a trip, or if I was going to be ending up, on the streets curled over and breathing my last gasp. Like, can you imagine going to the hospital being like, "Oh, what's the matter? Oh, here's these." It's a terrible glare right there, but Natui or it's weird. I got fear to keep it away from my mouth.
Kind
This little thing here is a Tonka bean.
of looks like a cockroach. So the another additional layer, while I was laughing my ass off, literally. Well, not literally, of course, but
So
the outside. Let me get one real quick. You actually don't eat the outside. You're supposed to peel it away. Apparently, this is
that was the issue. Not that I ate a whole bean.
yep. So you peel it away to it's kind of like a woody shell on the outside. You peel it away and it exposes this white. It's much softer than the outside, but that's where all the flavor is, which was how I found this. So I absolutely love cooking at home, and it's probably my wife's favorite thing about me because she loves her food for sure. But so obviously the internet caters ads to your browsing preferences, and I'm constantly searching up recipes or restaurants or certain chefs and whatnot. And I saw an ad pop up on I think it was internal YouTube ad to another YouTube video talking about 10 foods that are banned in the United States but shouldn't be because they taste very good. And I think Tonka bean was number two or number three. It's been a while. This was many years ago. But in the back of my mind, after I saw the description of multiple chefs using real Tonka beans and just being blown away by it felt like I would be doing myself a great disservice to not track these down. But to continue on to Dennis's story, a couple days after he ate the whole bean, um, I decided I wanted to see what the concentrated flavor of a whole Tonka bean was, and made a milkshake, a sugar-free milkshake with a whole bean, and not like a big McDonald's style milkshake. This was probably approximately 10, 10 or 11 fluid ounces or so, and my wife tried it. She really liked it, and I liked it. And then just kind of gulped it down. It had like the chocolate milk effect. Just the flavor was, um,
Potent.
yeah, it was potent and delicious. Frankly, absolutely amazingly delicious. Like I was saying, it's like vanilla, cinnamon with unsweetened cocoa. Just a hint of the unsweetened cocoa. Um, but now that we're talking about all this,
So how did you come by the Tonka bean?
oh, well, that took 2 trips to Brazil and the concerted efforts of no less than 6 friends and family. So on the first trip, I knew after researching the little guy that they're found naturally in Brazil, and uh, I thought, okay, well I can try to find some, and I searched on the internet. Um, and I theoretically could have gotten some off of the internet, but I wasn't sure too much about the quality or anything. and it was hard to find them in a jar because I was told that if you're not getting the tonka beans directly from the tree yourself, you want to get it in a sealed glass jar. Um, and knowing nothing about the tonka beans, I was like, well, this guy clearly knows about tonka beans. I'm just going to take that advice because, I got back pedal. First trip in Brazil. Um, uh, we hunted several cities. We went to like all the natural food markets, the open air markets with all the food, and just kept asking for kumaru, which is the Portuguese word. It actually comes from an indigenous word, indigenous Brazilian word um, for the tonka bean. But I think it says tonka bean on here somewhere, doesn't it? No, this is all Portuguese. No, just kumaru. Wild from Amazon, whole bean, processed, dry, natural. 100% organic, single origin.
No, did you get any weird looks when you're asking about it? Because if I went around Florida asking for certain things, like psilocybin mushrooms, I might get some weird looks. I will find them eventually. I might get some. I mean, geez, if you talk about tonka bean in front of the cops in Brazil, they're like, "You're after the tonka bean."
You will not steal our elusive flavor. We got it banned in the United States so that you Americans could never indulge. Um, but my so the first trip to Brazil, returned home with no tonka beans, but like 10 hot sauces, which was it was okay. I took it as a win.
Go through customs and stuff. Open your bag, sir. Is that a bottle of hot? There's a few bottles of hot sauce in here.
Yeah.
That's not suspicious.
Well, the customs officer was like, "That's it," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I love hot sauce." And he was like, "I've gone through. It's the quickest customs ever." Um, yeah, so I told myself on my next trip to Brazil, because we were going to be there for at least 3 months, and we ended up staying for 4. Um, I I wanted to get a tonka bean, and this is it with most of its shell off. Uh, yeah. um, and I did find some. I found an extract. It's like a is it ethyl alcohol extract of kumaru at a like a medicinal herbs homeopathic kind of medicine man shop next to a market. And
Come in, man. What do I need to get ya?
he handed me this little vial. It's handwritten. I've got it over there.
Jakumaru.
And I was like, "Can I smell it?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And he just cracked it open, even though it was sealed, and let me smell it. And it smelled like the description said. You can like the smell is similar to the flavor in a sense. The flavor is quite strong though, and that's when I had the first. I actually had my hands on some form of kumaru or tonka bean, the extract, and the guy was like, he said in Portuguese, he spoke really really fast, but he was saying that it's really good for your ear if you're having ear pain or wax buildup or something, which was a property I didn't know about it. Um, but we've been using it as a flavoring since then, especially in a tea. Pretty good, right, Dennis?
Well, the tea was horrible.
Oh, wait, which one? The
Yeah,
Boldu, right? But I meant like you did a green tea and something else. Yes, love.
I will take over. So, that being said, the tea itself was a very, very wonderful, expressive. I'd say it's worth it. Like I have no idea why they're afraid of the lethal dose of this. I mean, sure, if you have a bunch of teenagers going, if you ate 30 of those, dude, you can get high. Well, if you ate 30, you're going to get really sick. Blood thinners, Coumadin is a blood thinner. It works as an anticoagulant in the human body, and you just won't like. your body won't stop bleeding. So, interesting fact: Coumadin is used as a rat poison to kill rodents. It's very effective at it. So, this poison, right? For like, if a rat were to eat, two or three of these beans, it would get sick, if not die. For humans, we need 31, but still the FDA is like, that's too much. It's too much. You can't just do that. No, no. So they made this thing, hard to get in the United States, illegal to ship in for personal possession. There's no crime. You, of course, could have a Tonka bean. You just can't manufacture it or produce it commercially here. Um, which I think they need to look at that again. I think it's worth it. I'm going to actually pause here for a second. So, as we were saying, the extract is the form you first got from, I don't want to call him like a shaman, but herbalist, medicine man.
Medicine man. Yeah, he had everything. There was just walls and shelves and racks full, all individually, meticulously labeled and organized. Like I mentioned the Kumaru, and he was just like, and then it didn't even seem alphabetical because that was my initial thought, but
You ask him for dragon heart, he's like, I got that too. Pulls out like a beating dragon heart. But so from there, you want to actually get the real live nut or seed, right?
Yep.
Where did you go from there?
Yeah, so I've also, it was nice to kill two birds with one stone, but I've always wanted to go to the Amazon.
To kill birds?
I guess I really thought that my likelihood to kill a bird with one stone was increased in an area that has lots of birds naturally.
It's true. I mean, just imagine, why are we going to the Amazon? We're going to kill two birds with one stone. Baby, they have guns now. You don't need the stone.
Oh yeah, I still have the scar. Actually, that is from a bird in the Amazon that bit me. Very cantankerous bird. It also tried to eat my hat and chomp on my wife's toes, which was hilarious. It was chasing her around, going for her toes.
Were you laughing or were you helping?
Oh, I was laughing and filming. It was incredible.
Baby, it's coming after.
It was a straight up case of don't help, just film. It's a great subreddit.
Don't help, just film.
Don't help, just film.
Oh gosh!
And some of those are really grim circumstances. A bird chasing you around is its own thing.
The one guy during World War II. Don't help, just film the Holocaust. Oof. Oof. But go on. So you went through the rainforest, hacking away, slashing with a machete, going deep into the jungle, like finding the exotic wild tribes to find this one little Tonka bean, right?
Well, we did meet indigenous people. Our guide was actually a descendant of the indigenous, and man, that's just another general tip: is if you ever do something of that sort, your guide really crafts 80% of the experience. Because they know where to go. They have that, like they can instill confidence and the knowledge and learning and whatnot. Like I have no doubts that guy could survive off the land there. Um, but yeah, so after asking around a bit, where the word kumaru was much more common because it grows in the Amazonas region, I was directed to go to a particular market in Manaus, and this was after we had done our jungle expedition and returned to civilization. And went to the market and hunted around, and it was a pretty amusing experience because I actually found a couple of vendors that had Tonka beans, but it was more like a drug deal. It was funny. I leaned over and I was like, "Ten kumaru?" I mean, like, do you have kumaru? And then they kind of do like the bombastic side eye, looking around, and then they like not even looking. They reach down under the counter and pull out a plastic bag and wordlessly, because usually they would, in that question "tain," they would say "tain," like, yeah, have, we have it. And no words. This guy just silently dropped the bag. It was like a sandwich bag, like almost like a drug deal.
You go in the back corner and stuff. You're like, you take the 20 kumaru, slide it underneath the table and stuff. He slides into the bag to you. With
and I was curious about the price, so I asked the price, and he said 40 reais, and it wasn't that many, for currency exchange rate. That's approximately $8 at the time.
That's actually quite expensive for these nuts.
Yeah, and it wasn't that many. Like, I got more in the jar, but the jar was 80 reais, maybe, I want to say. Well worth it. I would have paid 3 times as much happily. And um, but yeah, I just thought it was amusing that the other people that had them, it was in like bags behind the counter. Because you got to understand, in these market stalls, the places that had the beans, at least where I thought that it would be logical to ask, had, it was like an apothecary's dream, of just bottles after bottles of extracts and essences and plant fibers, and hundreds of them, and just like stacked up on like a stair style shelf. And for the tonka beans to be behind the counter, like, what wasn't in one of these little bottles up front?
Could you imagine if there was actually a Brazilian policeman in there? You're like, Kamaru, and all of a sudden, the guy's like, "Get out now!" And policeman leaves. He goes, "Shh, shh, shh, come back."
Well, yeah, and that's the amusing thing is I guess it might be because there might be American tourists that come through. I don't know what the legality is in other, like, first world countries. Um, but we actually went out to dinner at several different places that had desserts or cocktails that included kumaru. And my wife and I ordered them every time we saw them while we were in Manaus, and they were really good, but they were super subtle, and that's why I wanted to like use a whole bean, because even in that sake, relatively 40 reais is still 40 reais. It's like paying $40 for just like 8 seeds or something, maybe 10. I don't know.
How much was the piranha?
Well, we caught piranha. But the piranha at the restaurant, which was absolutely amazing, I want to say 25 reais.
I mean, the way I see it, if you didn't eat them, they're gonna eat you.
Yeah, yeah, they love dead meat though. There's actually a hilarious video of this guy getting in a swimming pool, absolutely chocked full of piranha, and they just leave him alone because he's not rotting or dead.
Really? Because I mean, the whole premise behind the piranha now for the longest time, and I know they're not the only carnivorous fish that will, attack. Um, they say that the cattle would walk through and they would bite the legs of the cattle and stuff and rip away flesh.
Mm.
I'm assuming it's if you stand still, they then think you're dead meat and would attack you. My presumption is that they will attack a living person if they're still. Like if you're floating in the river, then they might nibble out of you.
Hmm. I don't
But
know. That's that's one to research. I just remember hearing the dead meat thing, and when we went fishing, we used bamboo poles where the line was as long as the pole, so the hook could hook into the bottom of the bamboo, and attach chicken skin to the hook, and that's what they went for.
now that'd be funny, like if it was actually fried chicken and you toss it in there and stuff, and they're like, no, 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 wrong stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be sashimi.
The That's the funny thing. So if you're hunting, sorry, not hunting, fishing. If you're fishing in Florida, waters, right, and you want to go after gar, right? Gar are the bottom dwelling fish, and they love hot dogs, right? They will not go after cooked hot dogs for one. I don't know. They don't. Once it's cooked, they're like, no,
I thought hot dogs came cooked.
no, no, no. Like once you grill them, like once you really,
Oh, like get the Maillard effect going on.
right? Once you get that char on a hot dog, they will ignore it. For some reason, I don't know. It's true. Hot dogs come fully boiled, which is actually, come to think, it's still disgusting if someone eats one uncooked. I mean,
Yeah, it needs texture. I mean, I don't know. I like the good grill lines, or shoot, like give me one that's got a whole black line out of a cast iron pan. I'll chop that thing down with some mustard or sauerkraut, preferably both.
it's kind of funny now. Like, so we'll eat little weenies right out of the can without cooking them and not even think twice about it, right?
We will. Who is we? Because it's not me.
People as a society, we won't cook our little weenies, right? But
All right, Dennis is revealing something here that I've never heard of this being a normal thing. Maybe my brother would probably agree with you.
so, but how many people do you know will actually grab a hot dog out of the package and just chomp on that? Like, we'd look at them weird, like, oh, what's wrong with you?
Oh, you know what might be a good analog? I don't know about eating no weenies right out of the can, but it did make me think. My brother's been known to eat like cold food straight out of a can. You know, it's the same thing, just quicker.
Can you imagine if you found your brother ate all the neocardinia shrimp?
Oh, yeah. No, he wouldn't. Yeah, but that would be pretty funny.
It'd be funny enough to where you wouldn't be mad at him. Like, you just see like a linguine bowl, and you see a little red, blue, and green shrimp in there. You're like, is that the cardinia? Yeah, they're delicious.
He's a bit of a madman. I would be, you know, upset for a little bit, but then I'd be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see you doing that actually.
you, what happened to my pet shrimp? They were delicious.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank goodness you don't have a squirrel.
I don't know. No, my uncle kept the little flying guys, two of them.
Now, when you're in Brazil, did you ever experience the Tonka being like going through customs? Did you ever experience the hardship of them questioning you about what it is? And
No, it was. I figured my battle plan was just in case it came up, I would just be like, you know, I didn't think that it was going to be a problem, but if it is a problem, please just confiscate it. You know.
I mean, it's kind of funny because I've seen customs in action before, and like sometimes they'll go over and they just legitimately want to question something, and the person then freaks out and like, oh, I didn't know I was in there.
Oh
Like
yeah, behavior. Yeah,
it
body
was,
language.
but it's completely legal, right? So the last time I saw this happen, right, it was a couple of cans of paint, right, little tiny things like a paint and stuff. And this couple, they're the Italian couple, they land and stuff, and they got the paint with them. And the guy's going through the bag. He's like, "Well, what is this?" And the lady goes, "I don't know what that is. That's not mine. Like, it's clearly in your bag. It's clearly got some other stuff associated with art in the bag." But because you think it's illegal, you automatically go to denying it.
Mm.
It's the human trait.
Yep.
It was perfectly fine though. He was just curious.
Yeah, it's wild. There's a whole TV show on that. My wife,
Customs gone wild.
it was something they because apparently there's a major hub in Spain, and they make busts all the time because there's a connection from Colombia to Spain, and yeah, they're constantly getting mules. You know, people that swallow the little bags, or they have their suitcase lined in it, or they have it in dolls or rocks in some cases.
Tonka beans?
No, Colombian cocaine.
Oh,
No, no.
I, I was like muling Tonka beans. Jeez.
Yeah, black market Tonka beans.
Like you cut open a suitcase, all the Tonka beans just fall out. It is. I mean, it's just funny though. Like that is illegal in America, and it's all because of this blood thinning effect and the nanny stateism that the FDA has to protect us from. When in fact, most people get sick off of less food that we have perfectly legal. Do you know that actually food poisoning from salmonella and raw chicken is actually a thing in the United States? Like people that don't wash their hands after handling raw meat and then touching something else, it's cross contamination. and people die from that every year in the United States.
Hmm.
But the bean is illegal.
Yep.
The chicken's more deadly. I mean, I guess you couldn't make chicken illegal.
There's another one too. Brominated vegetable oil has been proven to be poison multiple times, and I believe it was illegalized in the 90s, early 90s, by the European Union. So, and all member states had to observe that. But Pepsi puts it in Mountain Dew. You can still pick up like a normal Mountain Dew bottle and see right on there brominated vegetable oil. There's multiple sodas with it. I mean, they took it out of Gatorade, but for a while it was in Gatorade.
There's a lot of things coming from the soda industry. I can tell you that a lot of it has to do with like preservation, right? So dates on soda cans are not so much for the fact that it will kill you once it goes past the date. It's because it degrades the flavor and experience. That it's kind of like buy by this date or the CO2 gets flatter. So you can drink them months after. And I've drinking soda 6 to 8 months after, and it's perfectly fine. And because of those stabilizing ingredients, brominated vegetable oil does not like to grow bacteria. CO2 in itself, there's certain bacteria that can grow without oxygen and anaerobically. But of course, there's other stuff in there that inhibits growth. So that hostile can, like it's acidic, it's no oxygen. There's brominated vegetable oil in this. There's flavoring content itself. Like it makes it so that nothing can grow. However, when you have natural soda, like natural flavorings, like there is definitely a difference. Oh gosh, what is that? Sumal, right? The Portuguese soda up north. It's delicious. It's
Never had
got
it.
real fruit juice in it. It's carbonated water. It's a very simple process, um, and you can definitely taste it.
Hmm.
What is Orangina?
Like a blood orange?
No, no, no. There's a drink called Orangina or Orangina or
Not ringing any bells.
so it's like carbonated orange juice, right? And they take orange juice and they mix it with carbonated water. It's a very simple concept, but it's delicious. Um, Italian
Oh
soda's made
yeah,
that way.
yeah. I think that's funny. I said blood orange because that reminded me of exactly what you're describing, and I'm blanking on the name right now. Um, San Pellegrino, Sam,
Yeah, San Pellegrino,
or yeah, something like that. Yeah, and little cans, and those
and
are
that's
delicious. And
Italian soda.
uh,
And so in Europe, preservatives are banned. Basically, they're not like America. America says we need preservatives because we're going to ship stuff. It's got to stay fresh. Europe is more production and then distribution and then consumption within a 1 to 2 week span. America is like a month. And I mean, from
anything for that bottom dollar.
it's true. In India, though, Coke and Pepsi got called out on that.
Hmm.
So they stuff they're using in the water was a pesticide.
Oh, yep.
Then again, though, this is actually rat poison,
It has cyanide in it.
coumadin.
Oh, they make some with that because the this.
Coumadin is a rat poison. It's actually I remember when I worked at Arrow and they were talking about that, the stuff they use to kill rats. So they don't use poisons like arsenic and cyanide anymore because what would happen is that humans would, pick it up, and we're more susceptible to those than we are to coumadin. Coumadin kills a small rat very quickly because of the fast heartbeat, the smaller body, the smaller mass, and for us, it's a lot harder to kill. We'd have to eat a lot of it, but yes, coumadin actually is used to kill rats.
Hmm. Um, yeah. So for those that don't know, Coumadin is the name given to the synthetic version of Kumar, coumarin. Yeah, coumarin is the active molecule, and then coumadin is the medical synthetic derivative that is prescribed to people to for blood thinning. like extreme blood thinning, like post steroid use. I think is a use case.
Oh, cool. Well, there's actually quite a few. So if you have stroke, an ischemic stroke, or you have certain, like a myocardial infarction, where the heart is clogged up and stuff, they like to thin the blood out because what can happen is that you can have secondary heart attacks from, something striking the clot, dislodging and going down further, or strokes. So it's got its really important medical uses, but interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know in the world of chemistry, everything has a dark white hat and a dark black hat. And like there's great good and great bad that can come from a lot of the stuff that we use.
Oh yeah, so you can drink too much water.
I know water's actually killed a lot of people. Well, there was a it was Ron Paul once went in. I think it was Ron Paul, and he was talking to Congress about the drug marijuana and what it's killed, how many people it's injured and stuff, and he's going through all these facts and stuff, and then he comes up and he goes, and we have another drug here that's killed millions. You can asphyxiate off of it really quickly. It will stop your breathing. Like he kept going down all these facts, and he's like, they've got terrible photos of people, foaming at the mouth and shaking from taking too much of it. And at the end, he goes, "It's water. Are we going to make that illegal?" And it has such a good point to it that you cannot nanny statism and control drugs effectively. You must make them legal and control it marketably. Like Kumaru, if you made it super expensive, it's hard to buy a mask to kill yourself. Some kid couldn't go out and play like 45 Rio easily without having to explain it to his parents, who are going to like, "What do you need that for?"
Yeah, that's rent and food right there for a week.
Right, right. But in America and stuff, if you're to bring it here, marketably, if you make it expensive like that, you make it so that people can't buy a mask to kill themselves. Not that you would even you'd have a hard time. Trust me, after eating one of them, I can't picture eating 30. It's painful. Like
well,
your tongue goes numb. It's very bleh.
So speaking of eating, are we let's take a little chunk off here, and I'll leave it completely up to you. But I'm curious about the experience as a singler. You can pick whichever one you want. We got two evenly sized chunks here, and I would say this is probably about how much was used. I would have to guess from the milkshake because the milkshake was intense. I used a whole bean. Um, Probably about how much they used in the cocktails that we had in Manaus. So do you want to eat a piece?
Yeah, you de-skinned it, so I'm assuming the bitters are there.
Yeah, and it's just not super enjoyable because you would now take like this chunk against a cheese grater, which is what I did for the milkshake, and grated it really finely into it, and then blended it so that the flavor was distributed evenly.
Round two.
All right. There's still, yeah. Wow. I can't believe you ate a whole one with hot sauce.
Oh, why did you do it again?
Okay.
No. Oh no. Oh. Jeez.
It's pungent as fuck.
Oh. Yeah, it's still bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tongue is numb again. You get the numbing feeling like in your tongue?
Yeah, almost like a coating, or that might just be the edges going numb.
Ugh.
Yeah. Do not advise.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. I'm sure if you mix it with something, it'd be great. By itself, it's terrible.
Oh, it's brutal.
Why did I do this to myself again?
We split a half of a half, so a quarter of one.
And
I ate a whole one with the skin on.
Yeah. It's
It's kind of like soapy.
I gotta get something.
Oh yeah, that's what I was. I wanted the full experience, but I've been just sitting here, kind of eyeballing my kombucha to cover up the flavor.
You get that feeling though, right? The numbing on your tongue and the
Yeah, it's because it's such a potent, overwhelming flavor. God, I can't believe people would overdose on these.
oh, I don't know how you could. All right.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like if you ate,
Is this sugary?
no, zero sugar, um, and no flour either. That's one of Hanada's vegan carrot cakes. Um, it's really good though. It's absolutely phenomenal.
The tonka bean's horrible. Absolutely horrible. It is not as bad as when you bite the whole one with the skin on, but by far still bad. Like horribly bad. And you made milkshake out of that. Like
The milkshake was fantastic. Yeah, Hanada liked it, and Hanada doesn't really eat sweets on her diet for almost 2 years now. Um, but she went back for a second spoonful. That's how good it was.
so we're gonna close this episode out right now. I will say I enjoy reliving some experiences. I'm still not enjoying the tonka bean. Like, it's definitely the flavor is very unique. Like I said, the best way I can describe it right now is bitter, but spice like flavored, like sweet spice. Kind of like an Indian. Um, what's that stuff called? The sweet like jasmine-y.
Oh yeah, a little floral.
Yeah, floral bite to it.
Yeah, that was my overwhelming experience. Aside from looking for the flavors that are associated with a tonka bean, was like soap. It was like biting into soap.
Right, and there's something that it interacts with your tongue for sure.
I guess maybe the coumarin,
It's got to be,
because you can absorb stuff sublingually. Like they have these little tinctures at the medical cannabis places. Then you're supposed to squirt it under your tongue and hold it there for 45 seconds before ingesting it.
Well, I know. When I had my surgery, um, they used to give me pain medicine, and I'm horribly. I can't. It makes me sick. I get so nauseous from it. But I had to take it, so they would give me a pill, and you didn't swallow it. You had to put it underneath your tongue, and it would absorb into your bloodstream pretty quickly. And then from there, you could take. And still, it didn't really work as well. Like it's, but it was an experience. So that is the Tonka bean. I'm Dennis. This is Zach. We'll see you next time.